Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is so good to be here. It's so good to see each and every one of you. You are such an amazing, beautiful church family that Jean and I are blessed to be able to spend this morning with you. And many of you know or remember that I usually start with my favorite story. But today, how about a dad joke? You know those crazy, corny, simple, obvious jokes that can only be classified as a dad joke. The other day I was on the phone with my grandson Benjamin. He's 8 years old. He lives in Arizona. And he says, "Grandpa, when does a joke become a dad joke?" "I don't know, Benjamin. When does a joke become a dad joke?" He laughed and said, "When it becomes apparent." We both had. We both had. Good laugh. Thank you. You know, so watch close today. Watch real close because you never know. I might just have a few twicks up my sleeve and a few more crazy, corny dad jokes to go along with them. I also happen to have a magic refrigerator. I do. I don't know how it works. I just, when we're out of something, I just tell Jean we're out of this, or we need this, or I'd like this. And 2 or 3 days later, I open up the refrigerator and voila, there it is. Don't know how it works, it just shows up. And at night, late night snack, I open up the refrigerator and the light comes on. And it shows me the new stuff that just magically appeared. So we decided to bring a light with us today to remind us of the many blessings that we have, the many, many blessings that we have every day that's right in front of us, the blessings that we can and should be thankful to God. Well, the other day I opened up the refrigerator and there was something new. It was a different type of milk, ultra pasteurized. So I said, "Jean, what's that all about?" And she went on to explain that they heat this milk up to a higher temperature than the normal processing, around 280 to 300 degrees for 3 or 4 seconds. And that extra processing kills more bacteria, the bacteria that normally cause it to spoil faster. So the shelf life on this is actually a little bit longer. So it costs a little bit more, but with inflation, every penny counts. So I decided to pour myself a glass and see if it tasted the same. You see the other side? That should be about enough. And when I drank it, it tasted just about the same. I couldn't taste any different. But it felt just a tad bit lighter. Tad bit lighter. I gotta watch this step here. It works, it puts me up higher, but if I trip down, it's not gonna be a pretty sight. Anyway, I just felt a tad bit lighter, so I asked Jean, I said, "Maybe they cooked some of the nutrients out of it." And she laughed and said, "No, the scientist said no." So I thought I would bring this with me today, and we could do a taste test, but first, I just wanted to see somebody else's opinion. Vita, would you do me a favor and just stand up a moment and come right up here? Just come right here. In fact, I'll come.
It may take more than a moment.
Well, you can stand. That's good. What I want you to do is hold this for a minute. Don't drink it just yet. Hold this and tell me in a minute if it... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Time out.
It went out.
I know. I always bring an extra... I think it might be the light bulb. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Don't taste it just yet. Just hold it. I'm going to ask you if you think it feels lighter or heavier than a normal cup of milk. Bear with me, time out, we'll stop the program and change the light bulb. And maybe now's a good time for a dad joke. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, here it is. I always bring an extra one just in case, the first time it's ever happened. Maybe, here, you know what? How many telemarketers does it take to change a light bulb? Just one. But he's got to do it at dinner time. How many politicians? How many politicians does it take to change a light bulb? We don't know. They're still arguing about it. One more. How many, let me get this twisted on. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, that's good. How many do-it-yourself bulbs? You know those guys that have to do everything themselves? How many do-it-yourself bulbs does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, but it's likely to take 2 weeks and 4 trips to the hardware store. Well, the light's back on. We're back in business. So, Vita, does that feel heavier or lighter or about the same as a normal cup of milk?
About the same.
About the same. Okay, let's do a taste test here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I said don't do a taste test just yet. You didn't?
No.
Well, then where did the milk go?
No.
You sure you didn't drink? Did she drink this milk? Uh-oh, the truth's out. Your friends are saying you did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. The light's back out.
Are you going to tell me it's going to be in there now?
I don't know where it is, but I know the light went out, and this is a crazy, crazy start. I'll tell you what. Maybe the real question I should have asked is, how many magicians does it take to change a light bulb? And I guess the answer is, well, that depends on what you want him to change it into. And since Vita says she didn't drink and it just mysteriously disappeared, maybe we can find the milk.
Oh, come on.
Just maybe. Not sure.
Jesus.
Thank you, Jean. Maybe. Thank you, Sylvia. I like that enthusiasm. Milk. What does milk and God have in common?
May.
Well, that's true, maybe. What does God and milk have in common? They both do a body good. Remember that old TV commercial? The people would come out with a white mustache and they say, got milk? It does a body good. Well, what I like better than that is, got God? It does a body good. And what I like even better than that is, got God? It does a body great. But here's the thing. Milk only does a body good when you drink it, when you take it in. It doesn't do any good if you leave it in your magic refrigerator. It doesn't do any good if you just leave it on the shelf at Kroger's. It only does a body good when you take it in. And somewhat the same is when you open your body, when you open your heart to God and let God into your heart, He's able to bless us even more. And isn't that a lot to be thankful for? Yeah. You know what else does a body good? It's balance. The other day I saw something really strange. I went to a restaurant and there was a waitress. And I wasn't sure what her name was, but I figured it out this morning. I looked at her name tag and it was Sylvia. Just like yours. Well, Sylvia had a glass. She took a glass and a piece of plexiglass. Now, I don't know if she was trying to get a job or if she was trying to get a promotion. But anyway, she had a piece of plexiglass that was about 3 inches square. And then she took the glass and she set the glass on top of it. And she walked 10 steps this way, 10 steps this way, balancing it. Now, I'm holding tight because it's not easy to balance it. So then there was a man, who I assumed was the manager. He came over and poured, easy for me to say, he poured some milk into the glass, just like this. Now, I'm not going to do it, but she walked about 10 steps this way, and she walked about 10 steps that way. Came back, and the manager came over and poured more milk into it. Again, 10 steps that way, 10 steps this way. This time, he poured a little bit more milk into it, and then set the glass, plexiglass, on top of the other glass. Sylvia picked, this is going to be hard. Sylvia, and I'm not going to move. Now, Sylvia walked about 10 steps this way and about 10 steps this way. And it went on for a couple more times. And finally, again, 10 steps this way, 10 steps this way, Sylvia set the glass down. She thought it was all done. But she saw the manager walking toward her again. So she put a smile on her face and said, "Wait, let me do that for you. I'm the waitress." So she took and poured even more milk into the glass, until more and more and more and more and more and more. And then something strange happened. Something very strange happened. Somehow the milk transported from the top glass down to the bottom glass. So she says to the manager, she says, "You see, I not only have good balance, but I have determination. Determination to see things through, to push through the challenging times, push through the difficult times." The waitress did have determination and balance. And balance does do a body good. But when I say body, I don't mean just the physical body. No. I mean all four aspects of the whole human body. The physical, yes, of course, but also the mental, or the intellect, the spiritual, and the emotional, like four wheels on an automobile. And if I had to choose which wheel would be which, I would put the intellect and the spiritual on the front so they could steer us and guide us in the right direction. And then I would put the emotional and the physical on the back to push us through those difficult times. And you know, when they put the tires on an automobile, they go through a lot of effort to make sure those tires are in balance. They make sure just the air pressure is just right. You put little weights around the wheel to make sure that wheel's in balance. And then they align it. Because a car that's in balance will give you a smoother ride in life. A life that's in balance will give you a smoother ride in life. And it also actually gives you a little bit more, and a smoother ride and will last longer. Your car will last longer. I don't know if your life will, but there's a pretty good chance it will. And also, I do know they say that the balanced car will give you better gas mileage. And remember, inflation? Well, that reminds me of my favorite story. It's a story about four young college freshman students who went out partying one night. And they had a big exam the next morning. And they decided that, well, in the wee hours in the morning that they had run out of time. And they were like, "Oh no, we've got the exam now, what are we going to do?" So one of them came up with a bright idea. They said all four of them rolled in the grass, got grass stains on their pants, and put a little oil on it. So they went to the professor the next morning and pled their case. And said, "We were at a wedding last night, and we got a flat tire. And we had to push our car all the way back to the dormitory. We didn't get a chance to study. Can we delay the test?" And the professor thought for a moment, and he says, "Well, I normally don't do this, but I think this would be a good time." So he says, "Come back and take the test in 3 days." So the four students were delighted. They had outsmarted the professor. They went back and studied for the next 72 hours, and 3 days later they came back to take the test. So the professor said, "That's fine, it's a special test. All I ask is that each one of you go into a separate room, a private room, and take the test," which they happily agreed. They knew their stuff now. They closed the door, opened up the test, and to their surprise, there was only 2 questions on the test. The test was worth 100 points. The first question was worth 1 point. Fill in your name. The second question was worth 99 points. Which tire went flat? The front right, front left, front rear right, rear left. So I guess the moral of the story is just be responsible. Just do the right thing and tell the truth. Just be responsible and search for the truth and face up to the truth, whatever it is. And one last thing, you know, the car, the automobile that we're talking about, the 4 wheels, we know that some people take their spiritual tire off and put it in a trunk. They keep it in a trunk and wait for that emergency to happen and only pull out their spiritual tire in an emergency. My daughter Robin, you know, they really, out of the mouth of babes, so to speak. She was young. She says, Dad, people who put their spiritual tire in the trunk are in trouble. They're already in trouble, and they just don't know it yet. So I thought, okay, that's out of my daughter. So I wanted to share that. I waited 10 years to share that with somebody. Anyway, so the thing is, it's good to have an emergency tire. Just don't make sure it's not the spiritual tire, your spiritual tire. It's good to have an emergency box. In fact, everybody probably has an emergency box or two. I brought with me today an emergency box that I'd like to share with you. If Mark and Marianne, would you come up here, please, and help me?
Okay.
Marianne, if you stand on my right, your left, and Mark, if you stand over here.
I'm here.
Yes, that's fine. And I'm going to just sit this here out of the way. And you're doing good.
I hope so.
This is...
Standing up, that's an achievement.
I can relate to that. This is my everyday box. And inside of my everyday box is my emergency box. Oh, you know what? First, let me do this. It might be easier for the congregation to see if I build this up and just put it at a slight angle. They might be able to see just a tad bit better. Okay, this is my everyday box, and inside of that is my emergency box, which we'll get to in just a moment. But in my everyday box, I happen to have a deck of cards and a marker. I'm a magician. That's not unusual. In a moment, I'm going to have you hold it just like that. But you can leave it here, so when I ask you to, just hold it up like that, okay? You can hold it up now if you want. I didn't mean to make this hard, but I didn't want you to stand there and hold it for a few minutes. Wait. Oh, here's what I want you to do. You can see that they're fairly shuffled up. Yes?
It's not a euchre deck.
No, it's not a euchre deck. Not a euchre. In fact, I'm just now learning how to play euchre, and I'm always on the bottom. I'm always on the bottom score, but I'm learning. Do me a favor, hon. Just put your finger on any one of those cards, okay? Just put your finger on it. All the way down there. Now, don't take your finger off. I'll set these aside for a moment, and let's see what card you picked. She picked the Queen of Hearts. Do me a favor and sign. You can sign your...
You can write on it?
Oh, yes, you can write on it. You can sign your first name, your middle name, your last name, or you can even sign his name, whichever you prefer. And Mark, do me a favor, give me a number between 1 and 100. Just tell me.
66.
66. You like 66? Put 66 on that card as well.
I don't want it.
Oh, okay. You want to duke it out here? Okay, I knew that. Okay, so you got a card marked. Do me a favor, fold that in half.
Oh, really?
And you got the number 66 on there?
I do.
Okay. And also, fold that in half again. And now you can pick that up. And fold that in half one more time, or if you can. Yeah, okay. Let me set this on this side.
It's going to take all my hands to do
You're doing good.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I think you are.
Well,
Very good.
they are.
Here, let me.
I did that.
Well, very good. Now watch, we'll keep that here, and you can go ahead and hold on to her card. And we'll come back to that in just a moment. First, let's go to my emergency box. In my emergency box, I have a card, a couple coins, and a rubber band and a paper clip. Do you see I got a spool of invisible thread. Do you see my invisible thread? You do see my invisible thread. He sees my invisible, he has yellow eyes. I'm going to tell you that. Let me just go ahead and throw them out here. And I'm going to step over here. You can sit that down for a second, and I'm going to stand over next to Mary Ann. Would you open a card that was in the emergency box? Let him open that card.
Oh, I thought you said,
That's okay, honey.
okay.
Okay. Open up. What is it? The Queen, what is it?
Queen of 66.
Wow, what is that? You picked the Queen of Hearts, and you wrote what on it?
66.
And you also wrote the word
What word?
on the top.
Queen.
Queen!
Oh.
Wow! Wow, thank you. Let's give them a big hand. First of all, when strange things happen, we often find an excuse or explanation for it. Sometimes we say, oh, that was just a coincidence, or that was karma. I like the word karma. It comes from India. It means what you send out comes back. Or some people just say, oh, that was luck. Well, I don't think this was luck today. And somebody once told me, said, luck is what fools call it when God gives them a break. So, do me a favor, I'm going to stand over here. If you look inside of my everyday box, you can look at her card. Maybe we'll have a clue as to what this is all about. Go ahead, Mark, open up the everyday box and let's look at her card. And what does it say? It says God. It says God. Wait a minute. Maybe that's what it means. We're supposed to keep God in our everyday box and not in our emergency box. We don't want to keep our spiritual tire in the trunk of the car. We want to keep it on the car. Let's keep it. In fact, you know what? I'm going to leave both of you in just a moment. You can either go back and sit there, or you can sit here, whatever's the most convenient. But in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to have you both come right back up.
Okay.
Okay, so find a comfortable place. Another thing that does a body good is engaging with people. It really helps the emotions. It does. Engaging with new people, finding new friends. But it's important to keep connected to your existing friends. I want to tell you a story about a friend or somebody that I met several years ago. And his name was Johnny Gillette. What a cool name, Johnny Gillette. And when I first said that, I said, is that your real name? And he swore that it was. Let me just tell you something about Johnny Gillette first. Johnny Gillette, here's the deck, because I'm going to need that deck again. Johnny Gillette, I met him at a function at Ken Klosterman. Ken Klosterman was second generation of the Klosterman Bakery. And some of you might recognize the name Klosterman from the bread, and that's where I knew him. Ken Klosterman was a world-class magic collector. He had pieces of equipment from magicians many years ago, Thurston, Blackstone, all of the greats. He would, once a year, bring people from all over the world, magicians from all over the world, and local ones together and just have a picnic. And every once in a while, I'd have the opportunity to join them. And that's where I met Johnny Gillette. And it's important to know that he had people of all walks of life there. Well, Johnny Gillette was a kind of a special guy. He says, we were talking, he says, Paul, do you gamble? I said, well, no, I'm a magician, I don't gamble. And then he proceeded to do a demonstration. So, if I can have you both come up here.
You're not going to cut anything for
No. Yeah, that works out real good. Here's what Johnny Gillette did. He took the cards out and he handed the deck and said, here, if you would, shuffle them up, mix them up to your heart's content. And then hand them to Mom, and you shuffle them up, although it wasn't Mom in that case. Oh, she's a euchre player. Man, did we ever get the right person for this? Okay, and then she set the deck back down here. And Johnny Gillette, I'll keep this one, Paul. Johnny Gillette said, now, I only need 5 seconds. I don't think I can do this, but I'm trying. Because Johnny Gillette was pretty cool with his hands. He said, what I need is 5 seconds, and if you would be my stopwatch and count 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and say stop. And when I say go, okay? You shuffled, you've shuffled, are you ready? It's set, go.
That's 1, that's 2, that's 3.
Wow, you don't have to count that fast. Okay, stop. Oh, wow. Boy, your watch, your clock is fast. So Johnny Gillette set the deck down just like this. And he said, do me a favor. Now you deal out five cards, each one of us 5 cards, one at a time. 1, 2, deal her a card. Each one of us get 5 cards, one at a time. Her, me, you. Okay, very good. Now you got it. And don't look at them just yet. Okay. In a moment, you can sit back here. Each one of us have 5 cards, he just dealt them out. Johnny Gillette, I'm going to do what Johnny Gillette did that day. He took the cards and he said, here, I will keep my cards right up here so that you can see them at all times. And I'll hold my hands up here. Now you can go ahead and look at your cards safely and show us what you've got. What's your best hand? No table talk. And this is just a demonstration word.
4 spades
Oh!
or a pair of sixes.
Well, pair of 6 is good, yes?
Not.
Well, for just the first 5 cards, my goodness.
Okay.
And what did you get?
King high.
King high. Well, Johnny Gillette then proceeded to take the cards and he took them out. And the first card he had was the ace of spades.
Aw.
The second card that he had was the ace of hearts. The third card was the ace of diamonds. Fourth card was the ace of clubs. And the last card was a one-eyed jack. Wow. You shuffle fast. We're going fast. Holy cow, she says.
I
Okay.
want the ace of spades.
You want the ace of spades. She's a euchre. Anyway, I guess the moral of the story is, Johnny said and says, don't gamble, and especially don't gamble with somebody you don't know. So let's give them a big hand. I've got some tricks for you, for helping you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Thank you.
Why show this? And I kept thinking, why did John? I said I don't gamble, and yet Johnny Gillette, he showed it to me anyway. Maybe he just wanted to show it. I said, maybe there's a reason why he showed, said not to gamble. And I thought, well, I know we're smart enough not to gamble with our money. We work too hard with that. But sometimes I wonder, maybe we're gambling with something even more important. Gambling with our souls, S-O-U-L. Gambling with our souls. Wow, that's a pretty tough, big, important thing to gamble with. And I thought to myself, there's many different ways. There's many different ways we could possibly be gambling with our soul. And one thing that came to mind, we were talking about the lies and conspiracies and different things. But maybe we know we don't start lies. We know we don't spread lies. But I wonder if we're gambling with our soul when we turn a blind eye to the lies, turn a blind eye to the conspiracies that are out there. And truth is so hard to find nowadays. It really is. It seems like, for at least it does for me, it just seems like there's so many different conspiracies out there. I know somebody once recently said, there are hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people that now believe that the Holocaust never happened. And I'm thinking, how can that happen? But they do, they believe that. And then we just saw in the news the other day about Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist, about spreading lies to his podcast followers, that the tragedy at Sandy Hook was all staged, was all a hoax, and yet millions of his podcast followers believe that. So maybe we just maybe I need to be careful with my soul so that I'm not turning a blind eye to finding the truth. I think it goes back to just a matter of doing what Jesus would want us to do, to search for the truth, and to face up to the truth. Okay, one last thing. We're rounding third and heading for home. And that is, there's so many different ways to do a body good. Well, we'll talk about just one more last one. And that is exercising our mind. Gene and I do a number of different things to exercise our mind, and one is we play a simple little game called Wordle, W-O-R-D-L-E. Every day there's a new word of the day, and they give you 6 tries. And we try to guess or predict what that word of the day is. And what better time now to do a prediction? Dave, is it? Is it Dave in the back? How many Daves do we have? I think you helped me last year. Would you come on up here? And then I am going on a limb. Does the name Joanne mean anything?
Oh,
Okay, I wasn't sure. Dave, do me a favor. I want you to stand right over here, okay? Right here. I want you to help me. Now, give me a second here because we are going to do a prediction. And back here is my prediction. And I'm going to show the congregation, but I don't want to show you, okay? Because, well, we'll get to that in a moment. I went to Staples the other day and basically said, if I take a card out of the deck, can you blow it up? Can you make a big picture of it? And they said, sure. So I went to Staples and picked it up. And here is what they printed. And they put it in a little cellophane wrapper. And I thought, okay, that's nice. I'm going to just leave it in the cellophane wrapper. So I want everybody to look at it, to memorize the color, to remember the card, okay? There we go. That's my prediction. We'll sit this right here. In fact, I'll sit it right here for a moment. Now, I'm going to show the congregation that we mixed up all the cards. I don't want you to see because you might remember the sequence or whatever. So, I just want everybody to see that we've mixed up the cards. The cards are all shuffled. Do you see the cards are all shuffled? You see that the cards are all shuffled and mixed up? Okay. You see that the cards are all shuffled and mixed up? They're all shuffled. Okay. Do you see that they're all shuffled? They're spinning. Okay. You can see, now here's the euchre player. She can see that they're all shuffled up. Yes? Okay. So Dave, what I want you to do is I'm going to set this right here for just a second. Got a little clutter going on. We'll get through it. Dave, come on over here. And I'm going to spread them out just like I did. And all I want you to do is reach over and put your finger on any one card, okay? Okay, put your finger on any one card that you want. I don't want him to slide down. That's the only reason I'm holding this. That one there, keep your finger on it. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do. Stand right over here, and I don't want you to look at it just yet. I want you to put it against your chest. Stand right here. Okay. I'm going to slide it right here. Keep it against your chest, right here. Now, I'm going to ask the congregation, how many of you think I'm going to be right? Raise your hand if I think you. Yeah! Wow, that's good. You see, I've instilled confidence in them. I've instilled confidence. So, on the count of three, I want you to, we'll build this up, okay? I want you to, not yet, when I get to three, you hold up your card so that everybody can see it. And if by chance if I happen to be right, I'm sure there'll be a loud round of applause, yes? One, on the count of three, two, and three. Show them your card. Wow, yeah. Oh, you didn't even show them your... Whoa. You know why they're saying uh-oh? Well, see, Dave, all of the cards are the King of Spades. I don't know where the Queen of Hearts came from. I don't know. But the problem with this is, when I had the prediction made, it was going to match your card, but somehow he picked the Queen of Hearts. Oh, wait a minute. Holy. Wow, thank you, Dave. Thank you. I don't know where that came from, but I'm glad it happened. Thank you. Make sure to discuss that. So here it is. Here it is. So many times in life, I've got it all figured out. I do everything to make sure I get the King of Spades. I make sure everything's going to go just the way I think it should go. And you know what happens? God puts me over here. And I say, no. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I want. But God puts me over here. And sometimes over here is in pain. I'm saying, oh man, no. But you know what? More times than not, in a day, same day, 2 or 3 days later, I find out this is where I was supposed to be all along. This was a much better spot for me than all of the plans and efforts that I thought I was in control of. It doesn't happen every time. Sometimes I'm in that pain and don't see why. when I'm in that pain and I start, one of the things I do, and I'm just saying what I do, I stop looking inward. I stop looking at the pain that I have and start looking outward. And I start looking and say, thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you, God, for this. And I've never found a place yet, wherever I've been, at least in the United States, that I couldn't find hundreds and hundreds of things that I can be thankful for. And within a short time, my mind is on all the blessings that I already have, and it's off of the things that I think that's going to make my life better. You see, I think God has a much better plan for us. Sometimes when we open up our body and let God in, He can give us those blessings. But when we say, no, 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 this is where I'm supposed to be, it just makes it a little bit more difficult for Him to do that. So the end result is this. You know, I always say the same thing. It's just to be kind to one another. And I know you guys do. And just to respect one another. And I know you guys do. And fill your lives full of tons and tons and tons of gratitude. And equally important is to keep your lives, keep our lives in balance. And if we keep our lives in balance and do these other things, I'm pretty sure we'll all live an amazing life. We will. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you. I always enjoy coming.
Like you said, you know, we are where we're supposed to be now. We could be any place else, but God has got us right where we're at right now. And that's where He wants us. And so many times we try to get out of that, and He just keeps pulling us back to where He wants us. We're at the place, we're at the time in our lives, we're at the time in history, and we're at the time in our church, and we're all just right now where we're supposed to be. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're done.